in the low to middle.
The following is a sponsored program paid for by Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group, RE/MAX Results. Welcome to Rochester Real Estate, featuring Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group, RE/MAX Results, and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning. Welcome to Easter weekend. Andy Brownell along with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group, RE/MAX Results. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning.
And first off, I have to issue an apology.
Why?
Well, when we talked last Saturday, I was thinking the forecast would hold true and the sun was going to shine and it was going to be in the 50s for your Easter egg hunt. And it did eventually become sunny, but it wasn't until late in the afternoon. And that it must have been pretty chilly out there for that.
You know what?
Easter egg hunt.
I was running around without a coat on. I just had a sweatshirt. I had gloves, but I had a sweatshirt. It was so, there was just so much excitement. And I have to tell you that park was littered in eggs. All you could see was a rainbow of eggs. And there was probably between 300 and 400 kids there, I'm guessing.
Oh, wow.
And it took them probably less than 20 minutes to pick up 5,500 eggs. So they scattered around. So nobody was cold. Trust me. They did just fine. And we didn't have any rain and there wasn't any wind. So it was good.
Okay. All right. It was just not quite as nice as I thought it would be.
Yeah, not as nice as they said it was going to be, but it was okay. It was fine.
Of course, we get to the work week and it gets to be beautiful until winter returns or at least rain showers. At least we're seeing the rain, unlike my daughter in Duluth where they're getting pounded by snowstorms. It's
crazy. I was showing houses this past week and the client was from out of state and he looked at me seriously and said, "Is winter done now?" And I laughed. I'm like, "You think I know the answer to that? I don't know the answer to that. This is Minnesota. Who knows what's going to happen?"
All I know is MnDOT does not take the plows off the trucks until the end of April.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. I did not know that. But I
learned from experience.
I did tell him I've seen snow in April. I can tell you that. So.
Oh, yeah. Many, many, many times.
But not now. But not now. Not yet. We've got green grass.
Oh, yeah. All this rain is green. You know, from the farmer's perspective, which is an incredibly important part of our economy, this is, perfect. You have the ground thawing out and you have the rains coming and the soil is soaking up the moisture and just before spring planting. This is just what they need.
Perfect. And it should be also good for avoiding water in the basement because sometimes when the ground is frozen solid and the rain comes down heavy, it ends up in the basement, which is not where we want it.
Oh, yeah. It comes rushing down the hills big time.
Mm-hmm. So that's also good.
Yeah. A lot of people looking at the gutters I've seen over the last few days, making sure that their downspouts are working correctly.
It's a good idea. Make sure that your extensions are on. Make sure that they're not full of crap from last fall. Those are great ideas.
All right. Well, Robin, what's going on out there with the real estate market? I mean, obviously locally, I can see it's been busy as
well. I mean, I do see a lot of gloom and doom in the national news, and we're just not feeling it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. We're having a really good spring. We are down a little bit from this time last year, but when I say a little bit, I'm talking about like 6 or 7%. So. And that'll change. That'll definitely change because it just means that June will get busier than last year's June or something like that. It'll even itself out. So I'm not one bit concerned because, as you know, we had a great year. Last year, we sold $110 million worth of real estate. So it's been really busy, really good. And I don't think that's changing. One thing that I would like, and I know that we get a lot of baby boomer listeners on here because I was not at one, but 2 listing appointments this week for people who listen to us every week on the radio. And I love
fantastic.
that when that happens. And I felt it was pretty interesting because 28% of homes right now, large homes, and when I say large homes, they're qualifying anything with 3 bedrooms and above. So I don't know that necessarily makes it a large home. But in this particular article, that's how they classified it. But they said that 28% of the nation's large homes are owned by baby boomers who are empty nesters. And sometimes even just one because, widow or widower, and they just stay put. And they stay put because most of the times, I think 77.8% of the time, that house is mortgage free. So it's comfortable for them. Obviously, they've lived there a long time. They know the neighbors. One of the couples that I was at built the house that I went to see this week. They built it in 1978.
Wow.
And they have lived there ever since. And when I started to show them comps, it was hilarious because I'd show them pictures in their neighborhoods of houses that have sold. And they're like, oh, that's Mary and Bob's house. Oh, that's Dan and Jean's house. I mean, they knew every single homeowner and they knew every house, because they've been there a long time. They're well rooted. But they have decided it's time to downsize and stop taking care of the home and stop doing all the maintenance. So, but a lot of people stay out of comfort or whatever reason, and then it doesn't free up the homes for the families, with the kids that need them. And they were telling me, so we were talking about this at that appointment, and they were telling me that they've watched the whole street, start with young families. They personally didn't have children, but they watched the whole street start with young families. They watched all those kids grow up, graduate, move away, and their friends have started to sell on the street. And now they've seen new families come in with kids. So they said it's like the whole neighborhood was reborn, and we feel like there's a family out there that would be very happy in this house to join in with the rest of the young families in the neighborhood. So they're going into more of a retirement situation.
Natural cycle of things.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
But, it does account for the reason that there is a shortage of homes, though, because when you have a 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 bedroom house with 1 or 2 people living in it, think about that.
Yeah, that's a lot of space.
Mm-hmm.
But, you love your Hallmark movies. Isn't that always kind of part of the, coming home for Christmas and the whole family gets together and there's a room for everybody? I suppose that's part of it.
It is part of it. And I think a lot of times people don't want to part with their stuff. They're so attached to their stuff.
Yeah.
They say, if I move to a smaller place, what am I going to do with all this stuff? I have an idea. Part ways with it. I'm not a stuff kind of girl. I mean, I have a lot of stuff, but not because I'm emotionally attached to it. I just I don't know. We all have too much stuff. Let's face it.
Yeah. I have, other than my classic car stored in the garage, which I have emotional attachment to, I bet I could, stuff I'm really attached to, I could probably put it in a tub.
Oh, wow. No, you're good. I have...
The rest of it is stuff.
Yeah, well, and that is a good way to look at it, for real. For real. I have a lot of stuff that belongs to my kids, and when they moved out, guess what? They didn't take it. So what I should be doing is throwing it in the dumpster.
We have the same issue.
This isn't my stuff, it's yours.
And then if you dare touch it, that's the minute they're going to go, well, what happened to that? I was always going to get that from you. Yeah, right.
It's like, you have your own homes now. Come get your stuff.
Yeah.
We might just make a delivery day one day.
Another aspect of this, and I've had this discussion with people my age, and you and I are at the very tail end of the baby boomers, or some will argue that we're not, that we're, Generation X?
What year were you born?
62.
Me too. Same.
Yeah. But some people tell me, oh, you had to be born, whatever.
No, I think I've always heard we're considered baby boomers.
Yeah, so have I. But I have other people tell me you're not, especially those who are a couple of years older than me.
Okay.
It's always that argument, whatever. But you have this equity in your home, as you pointed out, 77% of them or something like that are paid for.
Yeah, 77.8% are paid for.
So you're not making that mortgage payment, and then you think about, if I'm going to go to 55 and older or 60 and older housing complex, I've got to start paying rent. And the rents, they're not cheap, but they come with tons of amenities. You have, I know somebody, who it is, it's Rich Peterson.
Oh, yeah.
He lives in a place that they have a darn movie theater built into the complex.
Yeah, he loves it there.
Yeah. But then, okay, well, do the math, right? You take that equity, and for many people, it's a lot of money.
Right.
And divide it by 12 and figure out how many years you could be paying rent. And then, so it's something that it's a psychological hurdle, I think, for a lot of folks to get past that. Well, I'm not paying mortgage for a mortgage anymore. Why do I want to pay rent? But in a lot of ways, if you actually think about it, it could make sense.
Okay, so I just Googled it. Baby boomers were born between 1946 and 1964. So there you go. So we are official.
Google settled the argument.
That's right. Actually, Claude. I used Claude.
Oh, okay.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Well, let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE Max Results. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM at 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group-RE Max Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back, everybody. Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE Max Results, as usual, on Saturday morning at News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Robin, before the break, what was the statistic? 28% of the quote-unquote large homes, those with 3 bedrooms or more, are owned by us, baby boomers, or empty nesters. Right?
Yes. And if it was a different percentage if you were a baby boomer and still had a child at home, like an adult child at home. That was 7%.
Okay.
So 28%
I was going to say, who else owns the rest of them?
Yeah. So 28% are baby boomers that are empty nesters. And then there were another 7% who were baby boomers with still having one adult child at home. Okay. Or, 3 people in the household. So maybe as a parent even, could be one parent.
Okay. 35% then.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what. But who's coming in strong are the millennials, because right now the millennials are accounting for 27.7% of the 3-bedroom homes. So they're definitely, close right behind. And then there are the group that doesn't own, and I suppose it's all based on age, because I don't even know what age group belongs to which of these things. Gen Z owns less than 1%.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And millennials with kids own 16%. So that about covers it, I guess.
Yeah, we're still missing about 10%, I think.
Are we?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know who owns. Oh, you know what? They're probably owned by people who rent them out.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I'm guessing, because they're not talking about anybody else.
But I imagine the demand for the houses with the rooms for the little ones is going to be those millennials at this point. Eventually, the Gen Zs are going to get there, but I imagine they're the ones who are most frustrated in trying to get into those homes.
How old are Gen Zs?
Oh, well, they're younger than my kids. How's that?
Okay. So that means they're younger than my kids. So, I guess it does make sense although I am working right now in my 26 years, I've never seen anything like it. I'm working with a child prodigy. He's literally not a legal adult. He's 17 years old. And when he called me to say he wanted to buy a house, I thought I was being pranked. And because he had a 17-year-old's voice. And he's like, I want to buy a house. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. So I was very respectful and started asking him questions. And I said, have you been pre-approved? And he said, what does that mean? And I'm like, oh, boy. And I said, that means you go to the bank. You talk to the bank about getting a loan. They give me a letter saying you're pre-approved. He goes, I don't need that. I have the money. And I'm thinking, that's what he said. So I thought, okay, how much money does this child think it takes to buy a house? I said, all right, well, that's great. And I still didn't say, I think I'm calling bull. I said, that's great. Do you have proof of that? And he goes, yeah, can I just send you my bank account? And I'm like, sure, just black out the number. I don't want you sending your bank account with a number, just so I can see your name and the amount in it. Well, trust me, he could have bought a really, really nice house with the amount that was in that bank account. And I said, well, who's the woman on the bank? Are you married? Because I'm still thinking, is this his parents' account? He goes, oh, no, that's my mom. He never talked about his age prior to this. He said, that's my mom. She has to be on it because I'm only 17.
Okay.
I'm like, what?
I'm full of questions.
I said, can you have either your mom or dad call me, please? And he said, yes, I can. And so when they called, I said, well, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be, such a doubter, but this isn't my everyday experience. And I said, first off, I think you probably all realize he legally cannot buy a house until he's 18. And they said, oh, yeah, no, we know that. We'd have to buy it and then, put it into his name after his 18th birthday. And I'm like, okay. Anyway, the kid is literally a child prodigy, and he has created video games for VR since he was young, like 14 years old. And he has a business now, and he has been very successful. And he's about the nicest, most humble kid. Like, he does not carry himself like I'm all that. I mean, he's just a sweet kid and such a nice family. So isn't that fun?
This is crazy. Crazy in a good way. So he's local. He's southeastern Minnesota.
He's local, southeastern Minnesota. And I said, I feel like I'm meeting the next Mark Zuckerberg here.
Yeah.
Only much nicer. He's a really nice kid. So you just never know what you're going to see, right?
No, but what a mature way of approaching his wealth rather than blowing it on whatever it is he's making an investment.
Exactly. I said to his parents, I said, this is the first for me. And the mother looked at me and said, his whole life has been a lot of firsts for us.
I bet.
Yeah. All I could think of was Doogie Howser, MD. Remember that show?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the kid is just, like I say, quite intelligent, quite gifted, and
obviously
very kind and very humble. So it's really been fun meeting him and getting to know him and going out looking at houses. I'm amazed. That's all. That's such a neat story. Yeah, I'm imagining, the neighbors when the kid moves in. Yeah, right.
It's going to be
your parents' home. Well, in all fairness, he's only a few months. This fall, he'll be 18, so he's close.
Well, but even if a 19-year-old bought the house right next door, I would be. Wow, this is crazy. What's going on here? This is deep.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you get the backstory. It's wonderful.
It's very cool. It's very cool. Super excited for this young man. He's got a bright future ahead of him.
All right, Robin. Well, I guess we should take another break. We'll do that, and we'll return with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE results on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 app. To Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group-RE results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Saturday morning on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. I'm Andy Brownell with Robin Gwaltney. Gwaltney Group-RE results, and looking back to what we were talking about just a few minutes ago, and this young, industrious man with enough money to go out and purchase a home at the cusp of 18 years old, and I think back to when I was 18, and it has no resemblance to where I was at that stage of life, that's for sure.
Well, and I think I
saved up
like
all my pennies to buy a nice. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I felt like I had it together, and then when I see this kid, I'm like, oh, I was a failure.
My main goal with my first job in high school was to save. Well, first of all, to buy my $500 car, but the other one was to save up enough money to buy a stereo system.
Oh, I did the same. I bought mine at J.C. Penney's. And I bought, my first car was $500 as well. Mine was a big old car, Crown Victoria LTD. And my dad loved it. It was sitting in some farmer's yard, and it had a sign in the window for sale. And we stopped, and it was avocado green. I mean, it was horrible with a two-tone, darker green roof. But it had automatic windows. It had an 8-track tape player. It had enough It was so big that we could literally put 4 girls across the front seat and 4 girls across the back seat when we were going to like football games and stuff. I mean, it was so crazy. It was $500. And my dad said to me, "What do you think of this car?" And I thought, I love it. I mean, I knew what he was thinking. He was thinking, let's buy this car. Yep, $500. Boy, you don't get much for $500.
And here's the weird coincidence. Mine was also in a farmer's field. It was also $500. It was also green.
Oh, wow.
But it was a Plymouth Fury, not a Ford.
Okay. Oh, Scott had a Plymouth Fury. That's funny. Gosh, we're just dating ourselves. Well, back to being 17. I actually did feel like I was pretty together. I was 17. I graduated from high school in June, or maybe May. We might have graduated in May then. And I went off to college. Well, started my first 2 years at RCTC, but yes, it was college, junior college. Lived in an apartment with my best friends from high school. And I was 17, living alone, not alone, but away from home, paying my own bills, taking care of myself. And I had even saved up enough money to buy a 19-inch colored TV with a remote control. Fancy. It was $600, but I was a waitress, so I made tips and I saved them. But yeah, I certainly wasn't buying a house. So again, that young man is pretty darn impressive.
And now $600 will get you a 65-inch high-definition 4K LCD TV.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, TVs are really affordable now. Well, at least something is, because God knows everything else is crazy, So the TVs are pretty cheap.
Speaking of things changing over the years, I caught your podcast this past week, Thursday, on how many million-dollar homes are out there now.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Literally, within a 15-mile radius of downtown Rochester, there are currently 55 homes over $1 million in active status. So if you want to take your money out of your bank, Andy, and go buy $1 million house today, we've got 55 houses to choose from. 45 of them are priced between $1 and $2 million. 8 of them are priced between $2 and $3 million. Brace yourself. One of them is priced between $3 and $4 million. Yes, this is Rochester, Minnesota I'm talking about. And the last one is priced between $4 and $5 million.
Oh my gosh.
That's 55 homes. And this does not include any of these beautiful big mansions that are custom built for for home buyers. I know I have 3 right now who are working with builders building over $1 million houses, and I'm just one agent. So there's a lot of them that aren't even included in these numbers. And in addition to that, in the last 6 months, 58 other ones over $1 million have either gone to pending status or have closed. And 57 of them were between $1 and $2 million, but one of them was between $2 and $3 million.
Over 100 homes.
Over 100 homes. And this is talking about a market where the median sale price is $340,000.
Wowzer.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It is.
So that's really a good time for me to give myself a plug. I am certified as a CLHMS, which is a certified luxury home marketing specialist. And that's something that you have to take training for, but you also have to sell a certain number of million-plus houses per year to keep the designation. And I actually have the guild level, which is at least 3 $1 million houses per year. And I've had that for several years now. And I don't usually get online and talk about it because I do not want to send the message that I'm only trying to sell luxury homes, because that is not the case. I will sell condos, townhomes, little tiny houses. I mean, I had so much fun with that one last weekend that I told you about with 10 offers.
Right.
I want to sell it all, but because the luxury market is becoming much more, a much more predominant part of the market, that I do want people to know, if you're looking for somebody who specializes and is certified as a specialist in that area, that's me. So I'm here for you.
There you are. It's an easy one to remember, that's for sure. when you were talking about these numbers all I kept thinking is this is all in an area that lacks a Lake Minnetonka.
Exactly. Lacks a lake anything.
Yeah. Oh,
but
wow.
We've got Mayo Clinic, baby.
We do. And that is, it's pulling in people, and it's pulling, more than just patients. It's pulling in people who are taking employment with some hefty paychecks.
Yes. So it's good. It's good. So like I said, as we started this episode today, we talked about the negative things that we're hearing about the economy and about the housing market. But here in our little neck of the woods, we are pretty doggone lucky.
Yeah.
Pretty fortunate.
Always have a lot of gratitude for the stability and prosperity that we get to enjoy.
Absolutely.
Well, Robin, you have a happy Easter.
Yes, you do the same. I'm looking forward to having just a day off and hanging out with the kids and playing with that darling little Jordy. Yeah. Oh, Andy, I have to send you a picture. He's learned to do the eye roll. He literally rolls his eyes like he's like, you're silly kind of thing. He's 14 months old. This kid is so stinking smart. Oh, my God.
Who did he learn that from is the question.
I don't know, but we crack up. It's so funny.
All right. So, Robin, if I've got a $4 million house, or I want to buy $1 million house, or I have a $300,000 or $200,000 home.
I don't care. Yes. I actually met with a lady who has an adorable $250,000 townhome. And she listens to us on the radio, and I was so happy she called. So, yes, absolutely, no matter what you're selling, anywhere in southeast Minnesota, we've got somebody on the team to cover you. Farmland, land, farmhouses, rentals, you name it, we've got it. So give us a call. You can use my cell phone, and that number is 507-259-4926.
All right, Robin. I guess we'll chat again next Saturday. Thank you so much.
Sounds great.
Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.